Northwestern Beginning, written and told by Kiefer Adams. Sir Charles Topham Hatt sat in his office at the big station on the island of Sodor. In his hand was a letter, which had specific instructions not to be opened until after he had retired from the railway. He had just placed it in his drawer when his son Bertram walked in. Bertram had just had his suit fitted. He looked very smart and almost like his father. The only difference was that he had a yellow waistcoat instead of a purple one. "Today's the day I've been waiting all my life, Bertram," said Sir Charles. "I hope you don't mind meeting my engines this afternoon. I'm sure they'll work hard for you when I retire." "I don't know, father," confessed Bertram. "I can't run the railway like you do." "You'll be all right," his father reassured. "Come on, let's meet the engines." Sir Charles and Bertram left the office and travelled in Benson, Sir Charles's privately owned car. Sir Charles knew who they were going to start with first. As Benson pulled into the car park next to Tidmouth Sheds, Bertram was surprised to see a small blue tender engine shunting some trucks into a siding. Bertram was then led by his father to the engine, who greeted them warmly. "Bertram," said Sir Charles, "I would like you to meet Edward. I recently purchased him from the Furness Railway." "How are you feeling, Edward?" he inquired. "Very well, thank you, sir," replied Edward politely. "Thank you for the new coat of paint." "You are very welcome," replied Sir Charles. "I thought blue would do you good." Edward smiled. "By the way," Sir Charles continued, "have you seen Henry and Gordon?" "I just prepared their trains at the big station," replied Edward. "I told them to wait for you." "That's a good engine," said Sir Charles. "Come on, Bertram." Bertram followed his father back to Benson as they set off to Knapford. Edward smiled as they left. He had strong confidence that Bertram was going to make a fine controller, just like his father before him. Before long, Benson arrived at the big station. The two engines, Gordon and Henry, who were of course bigger than Edward, stood at the station, waiting anxiously as Sir Charles and Bertram walked across the tracks to join them. When Bertram observed Henry, he had a very downcast look. Sir Charles noticed. "How are you today, Henry?" he asked. "Much better than yesterday, thank you," replied Henry meekly. Bertram was confused until Sir Charles explained. "Henry is what we call a hybrid," he said. "He was made from an LNER A3 and a Great Northern Railway's Atlantic. He may be a poor steamer, but despite all, Henry never fails to make me proud." Henry perked up at this, but they were all interrupted by a "Ahem" from Gordon nearby. "Yes, Gordon, I see you," said Sir Charles, and he walked over, showing Bertram the large blue engine. "Gordon is the finest express engine the railway has to offer," Sir Charles explained. "He was designed after Flying Scotsman." Gordon rolled his eyes. He never liked his brother being talked about. "That'll do, you two," Sir Charles said, and he led Bertram back to Benson. "Well," grunted Gordon as he left with the express, "that could have gone better." As Gordon left, Henry heaved a sigh of relief. But no one expected what happened next. 3 months later, Sir Charles Topham Hatt passed away. He had only just retired from the railway as well. Bertram, now known as Sir Topham Hatt, drove Benson to the lake where his father used to take him as a boy. "What's going to happen now, sir?" Benson inquired. "I'm going to sell you to the Elsbridge cricket team," said the Fat Controller. "I hope you will make them proud as you made my father." "It has been an absolute pleasure to serve you and your father, Sir Topham," said Benson. The Fat Controller smiled. He took Benson to the cricket field himself. where his own car, which he had recently brought, had been parked. The Fat Controller then drove back to the big station. He wasn't sure what to do, but a big surprise was going to await him when he returned. By this point, Gordon, Henry and Edward now had numbers. Edward 2, Henry 3 and Gordon 4. The Fat Controller had never understood this, but everything was going to be explained. The Fat Controller was just about to walk into his office when the station master appeared. "Excuse me, sir," he said. "We found this in your father's desk drawer. It's addressed to you." The Fat Controller took the envelope. On it read, "For the attention of Sir Bertram Topham Hatt. Do not open in case I have retired or have passed on." The Fat Controller opened the envelope, and a letter stood before him. He was amazed with what it had. From his father, there were instructions to go to the Brighton works on the mainland and pick out a tank engine to work as station pilot. A special request had also been made for this engine to be number 1. "Your father was a clever man indeed," chuckled Edward. "Will you be heading off to Brighton right away?" asked Henry. "Most assuredly," said the Fat Controller. He requested Gordon to take him via the express. He would then return on the engine he had chosen. The manager of Brighton Works welcomed the Fat Controller warmly and took him into the workshops. There were loads of tank engines to choose from, some more eager to be purchased than others. The Fat Controller looked at his father's letter, which he kept in his pocket. There was one engine that had been personally requested. At long last, the Fat Controller found the very engine he was looking for. The engine was painted dark green, with white stripes and the number 70 on the sides of his bunker. He also had 6 small wheels, a short stumpy funnel, a short stumpy boiler, and a short stumpy dome. The Fat Controller's eyes lit up with delight, and the engine seemed to share the same gratitude. "I'll take that one, please," said the Fat Controller. And so it was arranged. The Fat Controller climbed onto the cab of his new engine and took him back to Sodor. And I think all of you know from that little description who the Fat Controller's father had personally requested for. Don't you?